So when Pat and Paul and I were kids, we used to like to explore different places. One of the places was rail to trail. They had converted it from a railroad track to a biking trail, and we were taking our bikes. We stopped at an overpass, underneath the overpass for the highway above us, and Pat, do you remember what happened then when we settled under the overpass for a few minutes?
Well, we sat down and just took everything in, all the scenery around us, and we noticed there was lots of rocks under this bridge.
Really good rocks.
Really nice round rocks.
Fit right in the palm of your hand quite nicely.
Had some good weight to them. And well, we decided to start throwing these rocks down towards the trail where the people bike and walk and were just minding their own business.
We were pretty young.
Yeah, I mean,
we weren't targeting anybody.
No.
We were throwing them.
We were definitely throwing the rocks.
And then this guy came along, and he kind of stopped. And we stopped. We weren't going to try to throw rocks at him.
Right.
But he stopped before the overpass. He's like, "What are you boys doing?"
Like, well, we told him we're throwing rocks.
And he said,
"Doesn't look like we're doing."
"Just don't throw any at me."
Really?
Like, okay. And he walked by, but whenever my son throws rocks, I always think of that story.
Don't
now.
throw any of me. Wonder what that guy's doing right now.
Right.
Wonder if someone's throwing rocks at him.
I hope not, because he apparently did not want.
He doesn't want rocks thrown at him. He made that clear. He went on his way.
So a few years after that, we explored an old factory, and it became the scene for one of our, I think really one of our best Agent 07 movies, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, 2010's Evil Never Dies. This is Scene by Scene. I'm Mark Gross.
I'm Paul Kraig.
And I'm Pat Diablo.
And we're going to jump right into this one, because this one's on a little bit on the longer side. We start, of course, with the James Bond themed. It's not exactly a gun barrel at the beginning of each Agent 07 movie, but we start out with our sort of version of that. And we're in this. Agent 07 comes out of this pipe, this underground pipe.
I remember this pipe. It was a nice pipe. It went to a pond. Whenever the pond that it went to overflowed, that pipe would fill up with dead fish.
So you went under there a lot.
I spent a lot of time in that pipe with some high school friends. Great set piece here.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got to use it. A pretty good set piece, even for like a lot of our earlier films would have only a scene as good as this with a new location. This was only the beginning.
Yeah.
We see a new actor in the next scene who would appear in some of the other Agent 07s. He was dating your sister at the time, right? They eventually got married.
Sport. He's guarding a stump.
Yes.
Which early you see the stump that he's guarding.
And of course, he makes the mistake of asking Agent 07 for his ID.
Identification. Never ask Agent 07 for identification.
You will probably be killed.
You will almost definitely be shot.
And then we're down in your basement, which
another evil lair.
Yes, which we were just watching some of the GK Star Trek movies, and that was a location there as well. So Agent 07 takes some pictures of documents. After he snaps one guard's neck, then another guard, also played by me, comes in.
Who are you?
He seems a little confused in this scene.
These guards are not very good at guarding. I kind of said they need a little more training on the job.
He's very surprised.
Yeah.
So he gets killed too. Excuse me, what are you doing, sir?
What are you doing here?
Agent 07 rushes out of the basement and back into the underground pipe. And the Toyota Corolla drives over the grate filled with guards, and Agent 07 blows it up. That was your first car, wasn't it, Phil?
It was my first car.
I love that car. Blew it up.
I blew it up for the movie. Sacrifices must be made.
So you had it for a couple months, and we just destroyed it.
Yeah, and this is a cool shot. We had me climbing up from the bottom. So we put in the battery bomb there.
We're definitely getting creative ways to destroy Paul's car, but now you drive a Tesla. Which car do you like better?
Oh, it's a close one between the Tesla and the old Toyota Corolla. I'm not sure I can say which I prefer. It's too tough a question.
I mean, they're both red, so what's the difference?
Yep.
Pretty much is the same car.
Sometimes I can't even tell the difference. You're right.
And so Then Agent 07 strangles out a guard. Pat, what do you remember about this scene?
I remember being a little bit scared for my life this day. It actually hurt a little bit. It was starting to get black.
Sorry.
Everything was going dark.
And every time we
watch,
watch this,
It's
Paul
okay.
apologizes.
Yeah, I feel bad because I choked him pretty hard. I was crushing your windpipe there.
It was realistic.
It was a improperly done rear naked choke where I was just crushing the windpipe.
We did a lot of stunts and a lot of sacrifices for this particular film, including getting up at 4 a.m. for the main location.
That's coming up. It was worth it.
But next we end up, to get kind of the main story going, Agent 07 and 17 kind of talk about these documents, and Miss Pennypacker then comes to the room suddenly, and she enters saying that 17 needs to see 07, seems kind of suspicious, and when 07 goes out of the room, she's fixing her hair in the mirror and lingering behind. We see her take out a camera and start to photograph the documents Agent 07 just recovered. So what are you thinking now as we see this?
Thinking a couple things. One, Miss Pennypacker's not a great spy. Doesn't even wait for Agent 07 to really leave. Immediately starts taking pictures. Two, you got to stop labeling your top secret documents as just top secret. We see this mistake made many times
In this same film.
in the same film. It's very clearly labeled top secret. No locks, no other way of protecting the thing.
It is a system of trust at MI7. So, speaking of trust, very suspiciously, Agent 07 goes back, peers through the door, and I always really like the shot where you see Pennypacker in the foreground taking pictures and 07 peering through the back.
Good cinematography there.
We see the credit sequence going to Nickelback before they were universally hated. Saving Me. And this was the first one to use green screen. I kind of experimented with it with a white sheet and was able to do silhouette shots. And then in the next film, we really started doing green screens for the credit sequence. So credit sequence ends. 07 and 17 talk about what Agent 07 observed. And 17 sends him on a mission to kind of follow Miss Pennypacker and figure out what she's doing. The line that you had here was pretty long, so I think I was holding the script out.
Clearly
and you were reading
it. Yeah.
I'm positive. It was very strange how long she waited. Blah blah blah. It did sound a
very
little bit
proper
random.
voice. Not the best line reading ever, but.
And as usual, I think this one's not so bad. There are some films where the 17 scene is just so dreadfully
dragging.
long.
Yeah, the early ones.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little better here. The next scene, Miss Pennypacker in her dress and sandals walking through the woods at
Bright
dusk.
blue dress. Yeah.
Talking on the phone. Oh my gosh, I'll totally meet you at the spa next Thursday. She says something to that effect. Until her makeup compact beeps and she has a microphone inside. Kind of inspired by the microphones and the purses in the Bond movie You Only Live Twice. You see you break a stick in the background to make a noise to attract her
I
attention.
guess 07, that was deliberate. He wanted her to know.
He wanted to
He wanted to see
confront her.
wanted to see how jumpy she was from one stick breaking.
And she plays dumb at first. She says that she was just there to go to a hairdresser appointment, and Agent 07 says, I thought you hated bugs. What is a hairdresser doing in the woods? Next thing you know, he pulls his gun, and she's still spinning this story of it's a nature treatment with mud in her hair.
Really sticking to her story, which is good if you're being interrogated.
Yeah, you got to respect that.
You can't waver on that story of yours.
It wouldn't be believable if you didn't stay loyal to the story. Finally, she reveals she's been supplying documents to the CIA because they're investigating Jurhovsky too. He's been planning some sort of a terrorist ring in the United States. And so 07 offers that if she'll tell them what the CIA knows, she won't get in so much trouble for leaking these documents.
So they can work together. But does Agent 07 have the authority to make this call? Is he kind of going over 17's
true.
head?
That's
Just
a valid
immediately agrees to forgive her.
Might be one of the... Well,
For being a
07
double
did
agent.
tell her to get her to wear a ring with a microphone in it. So maybe he kind of has the authority to do what he needs to
Maybe.
get her to wear that ring. So
Okay.
he says, as long as you wear this ring, and she says,
Yeah.
I'll wear it for you.
They must have discussed something off screen. 17.
Yeah.
Maybe they already suspected what she was doing.
It's a little bit of Miss Moneypenny James Bond kind of like semi-romance kind of in the background here. But
It's always cringy because it's
yeah.
my sister.
we won't dwell on that too much. But that goes away in the later films.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And we learn that the documents from the CIA show that Jerhovsky is currently headquartered somewhere in Siberia, and next thing we're in the Siberian wilderness. And this is where we woke up at like 4 a.m. Really early as you yawn.
Yeah, just thinking about it, making me sleepy.
And we did some night shots as we approached this place. But what was this place? This was close to where you lived.
This place was an old asbestos refinery, and they shut it down and they buried a ton of asbestos here and then closed it off. So it was all buried under hundreds of feet of rock and gravel and theoretically properly stored away. And so it was all fenced off with barbed wire, so we had to sneak in and I think cross barbed wire, or a barbed wire fence. We had to throw a rug over the top of it and then climb over. I think that's what happened.
I think something like that. And I remember it looked like an awesome paintball place. You could see they
Yeah.
played paintball there a lot. Lots of graffiti all around.
I think a lot of teens would sneak in there and made it a hangout spot, which is pretty cool.
There was holes cut in the fencing and stuff where a lot of people would go through. So it's not like we were doing anything unusual.
Yeah, this
That's why we went so early. And your dad came with us and thought like, oh, we better get there before like they have paintballers or vandals come
Yeah.
or something later in the day.
graffitiing or who knows.
Yeah. And then you run across this huge gravel pit, and I guess that's where they had the asbestos buried.
Yeah.
It's torn down now, right? The whole complex, I thought.
I have no idea. I couldn't
Right.
tell you. I haven't been there.
We should go
since.
back there someday.
All right, let's get going.
It's probably just an empty field now, but I would
Yeah.
love. It was so cool.
It was cool. You see the big chimney there. Lots of different abandoned buildings.
Yeah, it was really spooky too. I remember it seeming so eerie, and I love these shots. So Agent 07 is kind of surprised that it would be abandoned, and 17 tells him to proceed with extreme caution. And I do just love as you're entering with the flashlight, looking around at the different the walls and things, and of course it got progressively brighter as the day went on. And then you could see more of the colors. It was, from all the graffiti, a pretty colorful place.
Yeah, it was a cool area.
And then a guard... So first Agent 07 finds clearly labeled documents.
Yeah, that say top secret again.
And have the Brocart Corporation logo, the Sin Agency, the Russian espionage group. So hearkening back to all the previous story arcs. A guard comes in and says, "Hey, you."
Hey, yo. And immediately
your
gets
dad.
shot.
Immediately gets shot. And then it was Pat who comes as the next guard and has a little bit more of a intense fight.
Slightly, he's a better guard. He sneaks up. Doesn't...
I don't know why he didn't just shoot you right away.
Yeah, he could have
with
just
the
taken
bat.
you out
Yeah.
from the start. I
that's-
had a jam.
Oh, yeah.
There was a jam, so
Got
we
lucky.
worked that in.
Gotta hate that.
Yeah.
And then we have this
Holds his
fist fight,
knife.
which it's too slow, but for the time it was pretty good.
Yeah,
for us.
this was the best we could do back then.
And now with our last few fist fights, kind of some of the editing techniques and the speeding up and cutting a frame, it makes it look a lot better. But and I did speed this one up a little bit in the re-edit, but
It's cool having the fight among the factory rubble. We're seeing some of the caved-in buildings behind us.
and then Pat chokes out Agent 07 almost until he hits him in the face with his knee.
You got your
Almost had
revenge
him.
till I kneed you in the head.
And then I get stabbed.
I stabbed you.
Stabs him with a knife, and he goes like, "Aw."
He just dies immediately, I guess.
Then the flashlight in real life broke off of your airsoft gun, so we tried to work that in, but it just looked kind of stupid. Like
It just looked dopey.
kicking the light,
Fell
like,
off.
oh, look, it fell off. So Agent 07 goes up to a wall. He opens the door and peers in and sees Jerhovsky working. So there is like a finished inhabited part of this factory complex. Of course, in reality, these were two different locations filmed at two different times. Not the most realistic. The lighting didn't match in particular.
We did our best.
You were actually looking up from the basement, so...
Yep. Also, what was 07's logic here? He sees the guy working. Does he know who
knows who he is?
He could have shot him. He could have
thought he killed him in the last movie.
He just turned around and left and immediately got caught.
Yeah, he gets caught, brought in. He says, I guess that knife in Switzerland didn't do the trick. So that was the first one we filmed in the snow. That was Taste for Revenge. And we know Jerhovsky wants revenge on 07 for killing his father. And they had this talk, and 07 reveals, Jerhovsky reveals that like they've found all the plans from his previous enemies, and they're going to reinstate this disease that was from Secrets and Surprises.
Do all of the bad things.
Project Lightning Storm from Mysteries and Mayhem, was it? Yeah, and so yeah, like Agent 07 listens to the evil plot and says, "How did you ever figure out these things?"
It's very simple, Mr.
Evil never dies.
Evil never dies.
And that is a reference. Do you remember what title that originally was?
No,
That was from one of our James Crabb movies.
Oh, that's right.
But I liked the title, so I thought we should use it again.
Mm-hmm.
So turns out Jerhovsky's father was involved in some of these organizations, kept the plans alive, was planning to take over the Secret Service. They take 07 away to be used as a test guinea pig for the disease. He uses his watch to get out of the ropes and strangles the guard. And I thought this high shot, your dad climbed up on a some sort of upper level and filmed that high angle shot was really cool.
Another
these guards just never learn.
Mark, you get choked out too? All three of us get choked out in this.
That's
in this
right.
one.
And then we see the graffiti turtle as Agent 07 goes to get his gun.
Love that graffiti turtle.
The reason it stands out so much is because this jump cut where you're supposed to be running in the same direction, but it was from the same angle, and you see the turtle again.
You see the turtle again, which
kind of messed up the illusion.
Yeah.
And he kicks in the door. So what? We found this door just laying around.
Just laying there. So we propped it up, put guards on either side of the door, and I do a running kick and kick the door from behind. It breaks apart in a cool way. Shoot the two guards.
Totally broke apart.
Yep.
And you vault over some junk that we had put out there, and then you come in and you shoot Jerhovsky in the leg. Agent 07,
which I'm not sure where that pistol came from. Might have had the whole time.
That's a good point.
Right in the kneecap there.
Yeah, got Jerhovsky in the kneecap, who takes it like a champ. He's completely unfazed.
And suddenly Jerhovsky starts doing sort of mental intimidation, but it's something that never came up before, a little strangely, that you're conceited just like your father, Agent 07.
Yeah, major plot twist there.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, it felt a little... Watching it now, it seems a little kind of random. It just kind of pops in.
Yeah.
But it does give, for the next movie, an interesting plot point.
Mm-hmm.
And the guard comes in, so Jerhovsky can escape.
Knife.
After Agent 07 shoots him twice more, he shoots him in the arm. You know nothing of my father. And he says, I was only because I was a generation too late. So this is, of course, a reference to, in the future... we'll find out that Jerhovsky's father and Agent 07's father must have had some sort of an encounter. Perhaps Jerhovsky's father killed Agent 07's father. So we end with that cliffhanger, as most of the Agent 07 movies do. And Agent 07 runs out of the factory, and you hear one more time, "Evil never dies," Philip Kraig. And
which, looking back, if Jerhovsky was shot 3 times and was within earshot of saying "evil never dies," you'd think you could
track him down,
figure out where he is.
He's still probably recovering from his knife wounds in Switzerland.
Got some knife. This poor Jerhovsky guy, he's getting beat up.
He's a savage. That's why he's lasted through so many episodes of Philip Kraig.
That's why he's the boss.
That's right.
They can't kill the guy.
Jerhovsky, I think, is one of the best bad guys Agent 07 goes up against. He has an interesting motivation, and not just kind of like a destroy the Secret Service or do bad things for no reason kind of motivation.
Yeah, it's more of a
So
personal vendetta.
2010 was a turning point, I think, for the quality of our films. Do you think this one stands up?
Yeah, this one stands to the test of time. We had some good action, some good plot that you could follow and understand what's going on for the most part. A few different little twists in there.
And just a great location, too.
Great location.
Great scenes. Great action.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the ones I most fondly remember filming just because of exploring this cool place.
Yeah, I
it was
agree.
Quite cool.
But
So we didn't get exposed to asbestos while we were there.
Oh, we all have lung cancer. No, I think
Hopefully not. I think it was pretty cleared out by that
I
time.
think we're fine.
It was
Not to
buried.
mention there was no stagnant air since there were no doors or windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, so great memories on the set of this one, and it turned out really well, and one that I still enjoy thinking about watching now. So this has been Scene by Scene. Thanks for listening. Scene by Scene is produced by GK Music and Magic Voice Records.